Today, we're going to start off by talking with a couple of guests who have started a nonprofit organization, and we're going to talk about real estate in Santa Barbara. It's not something that you readily see because it's buried under the ocean. We're going to be talking about our channel, and there's an organization called SOS California for, hopefully I get this right, Stop Oil Seeps. Stop Oil Seeps as in seepage. It's a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to reducing the environmental impact of natural gas and oil seep pollution upon our ocean and our beaches and our air quality. So we have with us today Bruce Allen, who's a co-founder, who's in the studio. Good morning, Bruce.
Hi, Mark.
Welcome to Radio Real Estate. And on the phone, we have Jim Nelson, who is a vice president and treasurer. He's got all the money. That's why he wouldn't come into the studio. Good morning, Jim.
Yeah, good morning, Mark. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. So we'll talk a little bit. But first, I just want to get kind of an overview of the status of the seeps and what this, a lot of people hear seeps and don't even know what that is, short for seepage. And so if I can, Bruce, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what's going on in the ocean. People, you go out swimming, everyone comes back with tar on their feet. I don't know if anyone really understands why that is, or they blame the oil companies or something. So what's going on out there, and then why would a group like yours get started?
Well, Santa Barbara's in a unique situation with the channel. It turns out it has the second largest natural oil seep in the world, and because of the geology and all of the seismic activity, the geology in the Santa Barbara area is very fractured, and there's a lot of oil in the area, and so a lot of it seeps up into the ocean, and then it's carried by the tides and the currents onto shore where people see the tar and step on the oil and tar. And it's also carried both down the coast and onto other beaches in California. So a lot of people, because of all the history of oil development in California, sort of assume that oil's coming from the oil companies, and in actuality it's virtually all coming from the natural seeps.
And this has been occurring for
tens of thousands of years.
A little bit before my time.
Exactly.
I'm disappointed to hear that we're not number one. We're number two?
No, that's right.
Do we know who number one is?
Yes, the largest oil seeps in the world are in the Caspian Sea.
Oh, okay.
But we have, Bruce, correct me if I'm wrong, something like 2,100 active seeps in the Santa Barbara Channel.
Yes, that's correct. There's well over 1,000, maybe well over 2,000 seeps all along the central California coast.
So it's the geology, the fractured surface allows whatever, this oil and gas that's in our subsurface just to percolate up.
And I might just jump in with a piece of specific information, Mark. The National Academy of Science did a study and came out with the source of oil in American waters, and I might give you the statistics. This was also in USA Today. Petroleum transportation, tankering contributes about 4%. Boats, cars, and other runoff sources, 32%. Drilling and extraction, less than 1%. Natural seeps, 63%.
Wow, that's from the National Academy of Science.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit, continue to talk a little bit about what's going on and what we all experience, and then probably in the second segment we're going to let you know what this group's solution is. They seem to have a solution that's going to, I think, take you back a little bit, as some of you, surprise you, and they started this organization to try to promote what could be a solution to these natural seeps. So we see it coming in the. Now, what about on land? I know years ago the Mesa just used to be full of oil rigs and derricks, and so it's obviously on the land too. It's not just limited to the sea.
That's correct. Southern California is ripe with oil, and if some of you remember back in the Los Angeles area, Signal Hill and Long Beach was covered with oil derricks the same way Summerlin was covered about 100 years ago along the beaches, and the Mesa in Santa Barbara also.
Right. So we've been putting up with this for, I know in the birth of Santa Barbara, the stories about the Indians using tar on their canoes to seal their canoes, and this is all the natural, long before Exxon was drilling anywhere. So,
and I might jump in again with some facts here, Mark. I guess what got my attention was the extent of the seepage. We estimate that roughly 10,000 gallons a day of oil is being seeped into the ocean. That represents every year about 80 to 90,000 barrels of oil, which is the equivalent of the 1969 Santa Barbara oil spill. So every year, Santa Barbara is experiencing another 1969 Santa Barbara oil spill.
now I know it happens daily and slowly, but where does it all go? I mean, we see it on the beaches, but we don't seem to see it. How come we don't see more of it, or why don't we have more of an impact, or do we?
Well, it disperses. An oil tanker spill, for example, is very concentrated. And there's a lot of attention, and then it disperses or is cleaned up. The natural seeps are dispersed along central California, and for the most part near Coal Oil Point in the Santa Barbara Channel. And it's a slow seepage where the currents and the tides slowly carry it away.
Take it out.
And some of it's absorbed in the ocean, some of it evaporates into the atmosphere, and some of it washes up on not only our beaches, but the beaches in Los Angeles and San Diego. There's also Santa Barbara oil, because they can chemically type it, that washes up on the beaches of Monterey and Santa Cruz up in Northern California.
So is it safe to say that the vast majority of it goes out to sea? We just see a smaller percentage on the shore? Or
I'd say the majority of it would be carried along the coast with the currents, and much of the methane is absorbed into the ocean, and the rest evaporates into the atmosphere, which also is the largest source of air pollution in Santa Barbara County.
Yeah, I might come back on just that. I saw somebody wrote, which I think is a very good description of what is happening, Mark, and you sort of put it, but what is happening in Santa Barbara and in the Channel is an environmental disaster occurring in slow motion.
That's well put.